Dino went mountain biking. Did you see that?
Did he? I heard it.
Up over the grass.
I heard it. Sorry, thank you guys. Mate, I heard it and I was like fucking just hoping.
He kept it together, but
on the grass.
Looks like he might have gone over the grass onto the road and then had to bunny hop back across.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Fresh Crits of Melbourne. It is 2 hours after the last video released because we are now dealing with the elite Victorian Crit Championship. I'm sure there's a better way to say that. And if you caught the last week's video, you would have seen the Victorian Masters, so 30 and plus Crit Championship. So this is 2 hours after that race. And, you know, the legs are feeling a little bit sore, but we'll battle through. I wanted to make this race fun. I've already achieved what I wanted to achieve in that last race. And if you didn't catch it, make sure you check it out because I had fun making it. It was a good video to do. So with this crit race being elite, you're getting all the hitters down here, and they've all shown up from a World Tour perspective. Man, one of the nicest men I've ever met. Nicest cyclist, just an all-round legend, Kel O'Brien, from Team Jaco Alula, has made it down here for this one in full Jaco kit. He looks awesome. Had a nasty crash, I think, a couple of months ago. So I'm sure he's healing up, and this might make him excited to be racing him. Who knows? We've got Cam Scott down here as well. He's in Team Meridia kit, who now races for Caish. Mark O'Brien, of course, is down here. Tommy Butler's in the mix as well in the rear cam, who's been tearing it up at Hawthorn Cycling Club at the Teardrop. Man, there's so many other riders. Jack Marshall, Tynan Shannon. I'm sure there's more. We'll point them out later. This crit had everything. So make sure you do stick around, and while you're digging around in the comments and stuff, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff does the channel a hell of a lot of good. But let's quickly talk about what's going to happen in this race. To keep, the viewers entertained, there is a mechanical. I experience a mechanical. It doesn't happen to me very often, but I experience a mechanical. We have Dean ends up on Springvale Road. Yes, the man takes a bit of a wrong turn and ends up on Springvale Road. Sorry, mate, you can't park here today. And there's a crash, nasty one, so stick around for that. Man, I forgot what happened in this race, and rewatching it back, I was like, man, it all kicked off. Unfortunately, at the back end of this race, my front chest cam battery decides to die. I've even got those Enduro batteries. They just don't seem to last. But I'm actually going to blame it on Tom Sharp, who rocked up like 15 minutes late. Was struggling to put his numbers on. It was a whole thing. I'm just making him feel bad. But yeah, the apologies for the front cam for that, stop working. But we see a whole bunch of stuff in the rear cam. There is lovely Kel O'Brien. Man, I've got a man crush on him. And following him, his wheel, number 9 in beautiful Barnacle black kit. That is Alex Edney, another hitter. So we've got Tynan Shannon here on the left-hand side. Oh, and how can we forget Cy Monk? Look at that beautiful mullet on my hip there. Man, give his pod a listen. He's currently racing over in China, and follow him on Instagram because it's hilarious, and Strava as well whilst you're there. It's funny. It's very comical. His Instagram posts are hilarious. So if you're feeling a bit flat, go check him out. And he'll cheer you right up. So for this one, let's get stuck into some racing. Let's see all the stupid things that I do. And if you do like this channel, if you do like the things that I put out, please like, subscribe, comment. It all helps the algorithm tick forward. And if you want to throw a few shekels my way, hit that thanks button. $5 goes a long way to some Conti GP 5000s. All right, let's get stuck into this race. We skipped forward only a couple of minutes because this is where the crash takes place. So I'm going to skip to the rear cam, and don't worry, we'll put it in slow motion and zoom in. We'll come around this corner. There's a crash you miss. Dino heads up over the median strip. Bunny hops up over the median strip onto Springvale Road. You can't park there, mate. What an incredible maneuver. Matthew Van der Poel-esque. Now, at this moment, I'm chatting to Marshall, being like, are we going to stop? We're going to get neutral. We heard this horrendous crash take place. Now, let's go back, slow down, and check it all out in slow-mo. All right, so we're going to go down to half speed now, and we will enhance to try to zoom in to see what took place. So you can't actually tell what causes the crash. If I was to speculate, touch of wheels or a pedal strike, soon you'll see on this case rider, you'll see a hand of someone hitting the deck. And this is where Dino comes in, misses the crash, Bunny hops the median strip, ends up on Springvale Road. Meanwhile, in the Peloton, there are riders all over the ground everywhere. Now, I'm going to say it. If that truck was in the left-hand lane on Springvale Road and a little bit closer, I don't even want to imagine. Now, that is a freak accident. I don't know how he did it. I don't, obviously, mad skills to the man, but very, very scary moment. But the race continues like it does in a crit race. Sometimes they neutralize it when something like that happens. And, Mark O'Brien takes this opportunity and sends one up the road. Brave man. All right, back into racing while the rest of the riders pick themselves up. We get to have a good old look here at Cy Monk's mullet. Man, it looks fresh. And the race continues. We've only skipped forward a couple of minutes since Dino got lost heading around Glenvale is when disaster strikes. Take a listen to the noise from my drivetrain.
Go to the top of the cassette.
You hear that? Click, 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 click. Something has jammed in my cassette right in the middle of the block, and that's when, I think that's Oscar, goes get into the top end of your cassette. But man, I can't. Everywhere I shift, there's some paper that's been jammed, some toilet paper or tissue paper jammed in my cassette. And if I continued on, I'd just be dangerous. I'd go to get out of the saddle and I'd skip a chain and probably crash. So, in these sorts of situations, it's time to relax. In a crit race, you get to take a lap out for a mechanical or a puncture that is not caused by you doing something stupid. And get some nutrition in. Take your time, relax, get that heart rate down, and use this advantage to get some nutrition on board as well. So I'm going to let this play out because quite often or not, you may not see what happens during a mechanical. And for those that are new to crit racing, then, you maybe want to see what kind of goes down here. So generally on a crit course, you have the race commissaires at the start-finish line. So I'm just going to roll on up to them and say, hey guys, I've had a mechanical. I need to take a lap, and they're more than happy for you to do that. They'll probably check the bike to make sure that you're not just taking the piss. But so here we go here.
There's something in my cassette.
Probably don't be as grumpy as me there, but you can see the paper that I'm pulling out there. Probably not good just to leave it decked out on the track.
Yeah, there was just a fucking whole bunch of...
Hutto comes over, checks in on me, see if I need any help, and gives me the rundown about what happens with Dino earlier on in this race. In hindsight, I wasn't really paying attention to what Hutto was saying, and fair enough, my head wasn't really in the game, but thinking about what happened with him, jumped over the medium strip onto Springvale Road. Insane. But, my head was elsewhere, obviously. And look, here we got the break here. So Marco and Tynan are still in the break. They were able to get away after the crash and are able to stay onto that advantage. But if you can check out the rear cam there, the group has come around the corner and are charging. They're flying. There's a whole bunch of motivated individuals. So I just keep checking over my shoulder, give them heaps of space, park it over in the left-hand lane, slowly start to build up my speed, and hope just to slip back into the Peloton right where I was when I started. And obviously, when you do have a mechanical, don't jump into the break. I remember my first crit race down at St Kilda in Port Melbourne, and I crashed. I overlapped wheels, hit the deck, dusted myself off, and jumped into the break and ended up coming second in the race. You shouldn't do that. I think it was like C grade or D grade down there. Anyway, don't do that. Just, even if you were in the break, just resume back in the Peloton. Anyway, that's a quick story. Now we'll skip forward to another part of this race. Okay, we skip forward with 21 kilometers left to go. I'm going to make a blanket rule that if a World Tour rider decides to go up the road, follow it. Generally, because you're going to be onto a good thing, because they're going to work. And this is exactly what happens here. Kel O'Brien launches a nice attack to get across to a couple of groups that are starting to form up the road now. I got a little bit boxed in, so I had to kind of weave my way around a few riders to make sure I jump into this break. And it looks really, really promising from here. Yes, there are a couple of guys that are starting to blow, but if you look in the rear cam, people are chasing hard to get across to this one. So the makeup of the riders looks pretty good. There's someone from almost every team, and you can see in the rear cam, Simon Monks coming across to join the break, followed extremely closely by the current gravel national champion. That's Mark O'Brien. So things are looking really, really good here, and this break looks like it's going to stick. Now, the issue that I've got is before all these sorts of attacks have started to happen, I'd been quite active in the race, so heart rate spiking, the legs are really, really sore. I am properly blowing, and I'm going to put it down to following some of the fastest bike riders here in Victoria. That's probably what it comes down to. There's 3 riders that are still up the road. I think Dino is one of those riders. So for me to be able to get across to join him is always going to be a good thing. But if you just caught a bit of a glimpse in the rear cam now, I feel like this move might have all been for nothing, as everything has been welded basically back together. And really, I should have looked behind right now and noticed this, because I'm now working for almost no reason, but I might even retract that statement, because there are gaps forming in the rear cam as we speak. So this is the thing, you're constantly playing these mind games with yourself. It's a constant battle of chess, and in order to win the race, you've got to take those risks, you've got to burn those matches, and hopefully that you recover. Now the downside of that is, now that we've been caught, everybody is sitting up. It's those super strong riders. There's Camp Scott on the left. There are some super strong riders that are going to launch that counter attack, and I'm going to be left floundering at 180 beats. Oh, not good times. And if you start to look over the left-hand side, I've scripted it perfectly. There goes 3 of the strongest riders in the race. There's Kel O'Brien, Cam Scott, who else? Oh, Lewis is in the mix as well. Cy Monk's in the mix. Everybody's in this break, and I'm now struggling to hold the wheel. So you've got to figure out, okay, so there's coming up to 30 minutes left. 30 minutes into this race, about 20 minutes left, 18 Ks to go. When do you punch the clutch in and be like, all right, looks like nothing's going to be getting away today. Why not just filter yourself back into the back part of the peloton, get some recovery in, try to get some recovery in, and just wait for the next sort of attack to happen, because right now I'm just wearing myself out for almost no reason. Okay, so we've skipped 10 minutes further into this race, and I promise you, I've been cruising at the back. I've been swinging straight off the back, trying to get that heart rate down and trying to generally recover. But you know, when a little move goes up the road like this and you feel like you're a little bit recovered, but when you really look down and my heart rate's at 178, me getting across to this group was a bad idea straight from the get-go, because what's the point? You know, you look, there's 11 kilometers left in this race. There's still 25 minutes remaining. The break up the road, it's a good makeup of riders, I guess. If you stretch it out, you know, you've got committed individuals, but there's no heavy hitters. There's no strong guys that are willing to get away. But, you know, glass half full, glass half empty. You need to look at it maybe in a bit more of a positive light and think, all right, well, if all these guys who are, you know, average sort of riders like myself are willing to work together, and already you look in the rear cam, where's the peloton? 10-second gap, I reckon we've already got. Maybe this could work, but, you know, considering the situation at hand, 11 Ks left, I've already done one race today, I don't need to be in this break. As simple as that. I really should have been much better off chilling out in the peloton, getting that heart rate down, preparing myself to a bunch sprint. But you know, as I said in the last video, I'm not very well suited to sprinting against 30 other blokes. I like to be in a bit more of a reduced sprint, so hence why I do try to get into these sorts of moves. But I don't know, how are you supposed to look at it? Are you meant to practice sprinting against those 20 up riders and get those elbows out, or should I keep trying these sorts of moves? Hopefully something will stick. But look, if in all honesty, if I was to race this again, I should have sat back and chilled out and relaxed. But you know what? I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. What would you do in this situation? Would you just throw everything out at it? just attack, be animated. Look, it's much more of a fun way to race, I think, being animated and attack as much as you can. But if you do it in a reckless sort of manner, like what we're doing now, then it's probably not in your best interest. But let's skip further forward to see if we can actually get across to this small group that's up the road. Well, I've only skipped forward a couple of minutes. We certainly tried hard to get across, but we couldn't get there in the end. And you can see the peloton is now bearing down upon us. So, for the rest of the video, we have no chest cam. I'm sorry, guys. So we're going to have to watch everything from the rear. But now that we've been caught, I might flick forward all the way to final laps to watch the chaos unfold. Let's go. Alrighty, we're coming into bell lap, and I've got Tommy Butler, the Hawthorn Crit legend, right on my wheel. There's the bell, last lap, and I'm still in with the group. Nothing is up the road. We're all still together as far as I can remember and understand. Correct me in the comments. I do turn the front camera on and give it a flicker of battery, so we'll jump in between front and forward. A lot of smiling, a lot of bumping and rubbing elbows here. Look, I don't like the idea that I'm already starting to filter back down through the peloton. Remember, when your last lap to go, as we didn't pass Tom Sharp, it is so much harder to get to the front of the bike race, simply because the speeds are so high. 47 kilometers an hour, we are rubbing shoulders in order to stay away. I'm not exactly who this is that launches the attack up the inside there, but he hits it with a whole bunch of pace, and he's splitting the group. Already there are gaps splintering up the road as we come into the last corner. Jack Marshall's got his sprint game on, and it is going all out to the finish line. I love watching a sprint in the rear cam. You love to see all the pain faces as I pass 2-3 riders. There's Tommy Butler just up the road. Can I get in front of him, or can I hold off the contenders behind? We get only 10 meters to the line. We get there. I managed to grab onto, I don't know what I come, but I'll claim a top 10 every day of the week at the Victorian State Championships. Beat Cam Scott. There you go. Rub it in your face, Cam. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure you give the Instagram page a follow over the next couple of weeks. I'm going on a Fresh Crits World Tour over to Sweden and then over to Hawaii. Whole bunch of stuff coming, and you don't want to miss it. It's going to be some epic, something a little bit different as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.